Good morning. Downtown Committee meeting for the Tuesday, April 2, 2024 is in order at 8. Okay. Yes. Recently, regional and local elected and appointed bodies have been subjected to disruptive, racist verbal attacks by anonymous callers during virtual public comments. The city of Mountain View is fully committed to racial, religious, and cultural equity and justice as we strive to create a welcoming, safe, and inclusive community for all. This advisory body commission welcomes respectful and non-threatening public comments regarding matters over which the advisory body commission has jurisdiction. Comments deemed otherwise pursuant to the council code of conduct, the government code, may be grounds for immediately terminating a speaker's comments period. So we'll move to item 2, roll call.
Yes. Committee member Baird,
Present.
Kavanaugh, Katz,
Here.
Keith, Lynn, Singh, Yen, Kasperzak.
Here.
Jake.
Here. Thank you. Item 3, approval of the minutes. The minutes for the March 5th, 2024 meeting have been delivered to committee members and copies posted on the City Hall bulletin board. If there are no correction and addition, a motion is in order to approve these minutes.
One correction is downtown committee meeting, and it's right there, 2024. I move that we approve the minutes as corrected.
Second. So, any discussion on that? Any public comments? Minutes?
Ironically, that's actually a correction to the agenda.
Well, but if she's kind of listening.
Well, I know, but.
Yeah. I was trying to figure out how to say it.
So, could be, you vote on this?
Yeah.
In favor?
Yeah, all those.
Oh, it's you, it's you.
Oh, I thought that we called it wrong.
Aye.
So, motion passed unanimously and was made by Councilor Baird and seconded by Kasperzak. Thank you. We'll go to item number 5.
I know. So the like future agenda item one is missing.
The oral communications. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons wishing to address the committee on any matter not on the agenda. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. State law prohibits the committee from acting on non-agenda item. Any comments from members of the public?
We do have one member online. If you're wishing to speak on a non-agenda topic, please raise your hand or hit *6.
I do have a question on non-agenda item. And John, I already mentioned to you about the member. Do you want to bring it up or should we? So the bylaws of the committee suggest there has to be at least 4 members from the downtown businesses, but the city charter mentions that you have to be a resident of downtown. So there is a conflict of bylaws versus the city charter. So if someone can address that, I've requested to be part of the committee, but because of that conflict, I don't know how many members are already non-members and are already sitting here, and how are you addressing this?
So because it's public comment, the committee cannot respond, so I will respond as staff. So within the charter, there is the interpretation of section 900 that all members of bodies within Mountain View need to be Mountain View residents. This is new, which has a direct impact. This came to light just last month. And unfortunately, when it applied, that got daylighted. So there is a new interpretation of what that means. It does have some potential implications to this committee, as we have business owners that operate in this community but may not live here and therefore are not able to participate as outlined in the bylaws. The charter trumps the bylaws at this point in time. So staff is looking at what all this means. I do not have an answer, as this only came to light this month. So apologies, but staff is looking.
Could we ask that the city attorney address this to the committee at our next meeting?
Are we discussing something that's not on the agenda?
Yeah, so staff is,
Perhaps later in the meeting, when you ask for topics for the next agenda, we can raise that.
Move to next item. Unfinished business is a downtown development update, April 2024. It says planning division staff will provide an update on downtown development projects.
Morning, everyone.
Morning.
Thank you. Morning. We have one new update today. It's a new project. This project is located at the intersection of El Camino Rio and Hope Street, as well as Fairmont Avenue and Hope Street. So it's a triple frontage lot. And that's proposed. It does have an existing KFC site, so it's a commercial site for half the portion of the site, and the other half, as you'll see on the screen, is residential. As proposed, this applicant would demolish both of these sites, both of these buildings, and redevelop it as a 36-unit condominium project. This site is located right outside of the downtown boundary, but given its proximity, we felt the need to bring it to all of you and put it on the downtown updates.
Let's clarify, this is not on this Griffin Street.
But it's on here, it's just not located within the boundary of the.
What item number are we on?
The first one.
Number one.
Item number one.
Is that project associated with the corner project?
Correct, it's the same owner for AA1 Castro, which is on the site, but they're being treated as
Right,
separate
separate.
projects. Yes, but it is the same owner, same development group.
Would there be a continuation or consideration of that architectural styles and how the
Correct.
properties relate to each other?
To an extent, we would want it to relate, obviously, we'll go through the review process, not to mimic exactly the building, to really provide some variation and differences. One of them will front more on our downtown and more towards our residential area, while the other one will front towards a residential neighborhood in Fairmont and then front on El Camino. So we're trying to create a little bit of a difference on these projects.
Time of completion or like?
They just submitted currently, so we have to go through the review process and they must go through their CEQA process. So we're probably at least 8 months to probably put some form of public hearings.
So would that require an AIR?
So we're currently scoping it, and so based on the scope, we will get a better understanding.
Is there a height limit for projects that fall outside of the downtown in residential areas?
So there is a height limit. I don't know it off the top of my head. This project is located within the P38 El Camino Precise Plan for, as you can see, the KFC site. The other section of the site is actually located at the R2. So there's different height variations. They are requesting a state density bonus. So depending on the number of affordable units that they provide towards the project, they may be able to exceed our current requirements. And on top of that, they are also requesting AB 1287, which is a new density bonus assembly bill that was approved in January of this year. But we do have a website online that provides a lot more information on this particular project.
It's going to be a rental property, not like a
So currently, they're condominiums. They're
condominium, so they will be.
for sale, yes.
Probably a condo map, that they could do either.
Wasn't there this property some years ago, I'm trying to recall it, and there was a problem with some heritage trees and things like that.
So I know from looking at the history, there was, this development group, was approved for a previous project, not on these sites. It was more on the AA1 Castro, so fronting on Castro. That project never came to life, and then now they're resubmitting.
But I think that the corner project, originally, they wanted to close Hope Street and include the KFC site. And then they split that off.
Any more?
So, one more question on, it looks like the Robert Greene Company is sort of breathing again on,
My question.
sorry.
No, I think
Item number 3, they're now having an extension, so we're trying to.
So they do continue to work with staff, and I think I'll have a better update for us on that project.
That's really it. They continue to be engaged with staff on moving this project forward. At this point, there is no update other than they continue to talk with us, working through the vision for the site and recognizing where the market is on an interest rate perspective. What does that mean for the no substantial update at this point, other than they continue to be engaged with staff.
Okay, so the old permits expired, and now they haven't pulled new ones, is that correct? Okay.
One question, one of the Old Mount Airy resident is really interested in following lot 12, item 4. And what would be the best way to do it?
If I'm not mistaken, we also have a website for that project site, and I can get you the project.
Thank you. There's no more questions. Thank you very much, Edgar. Have a great day.
One last thing, so today is my last downtown committee. I will be handing it on to Vincent. Vincent Kwan here, he's our associate planner. He's great, he's awesome, and he'll be doing the updates moving forward.
Oh, thank you very much for.
Thanks for your
Yeah.
Are you leaving or?
No, as you can see, I have a lot of projects. The 81 Castro one is my site, so I'll be busy.
Okay, great, thank you.
We move to
Public comment.
any public comments? Thank you. Anybody on Zoom?
Anyone online wishing to speak to the downtown development updates, please raise your hand or hit *6.
Hold on. Next item, Castro Street update. Staff will provide a verbal update on current efforts and activities related to Castro Street.
That's me.
Yes, that's she is that.
All right. All right, downtown updates. So it's been a very busy month. We've seen some intersection improvements that have happened over this last month. So this is kind of a twofer. There's some aesthetic and safety related components to this. So on the left, you can see the new black fencing that has been put at the intersection. So there used to be those sort of yellow event barricade type fencing. So that's been replaced with this black fencing that matches all of the patio license areas. So we've got sort of that consistent look and feel there. Our community services department did a really amazing turnaround to get planters already on those fences. So you can see on all of those fences, just a ton of beautiful succulents. Also related to this is sort of safety elements. So two-parter for this. One is ensuring that we have emergency vehicle access to Castro Street. So our traffic, community services department, and the fire department, we're working together to do some tests of emergency equipment on Castro Street. So you can see in the photo to the right, we have one of our fire trucks driving right down the middle of Castro Street. And really, it was about ensuring that they could make the turn on and off Castro Street and have, just that quick access time in case of emergency. So we ran a number of tests with them, and the fire department feels confident in their ability to get onto Castro Street and provide emergency response. The other aspect of it is that while we do want emergency vehicles to be able to easily get onto Castro Street, we don't want regular, community member vehicles to be able to access Castro Street. So in the photo to the left, you can see those big cement bollards. And so we worked to ensure those were really strategically placed to provide just sort of that extra barrier and level of safety on Castro Street. We will be adding a couple more to various intersections. Each side of the intersection should have a 6 total, so 4 on the side of the fence that faces where vehicular traffic would be, and then 2 sort of in the fence, kind of tucked in on the pedestrian side. Thank you. Yeah, right there is where an additional bollard will need to go. So those are on order, and so you'll see those kind of added on.
So how
Yeah.
does how does the fire department move the screening in between the bollards where they would go down the street?
Yeah, so they've worked with the Community Services Department to be able to pull, thank you, John. So there's little pins that can be removed and which would allow the fences to just come apart. Granted, we don't want everyone to be doing that, but the fire department has access and has run those tests, yeah.
Are the traffic, I haven't looked at the traffic lights lately, are they gonna like change out the green for like a green straight arrow?
So there will be a couple of updates that'll happen over the next couple of years. The first will be that we're gonna add a crosswalk. So rather than crossing on either side of the intersection, you'll cross sort of right down the middle. And then we will be doing some signal updates as well. And I don't know, Aruna, do you have any? Okay, yeah. So we will be doing some updates to the signals there.
So pedestrians would have to walk around these fences to go onto the crosswalk.
No, so the fencing is sort of meets sort of the current layout, but we'll have to relook at the fencing for that crosswalk update. So it'll be a completely new intersection look and feel when we get to that piece. Yeah. Yeah, ideally, we don't have people on the other side of the black fence at this stage, that people stay sort of within the pedestrian mall or on the crosswalks on either side.
So this is the perfect picture, photo which you show. The other day I was walking by and I saw some of the planters outside the thing. This is put on, and I was thinking about emergency vehicle would be able to go. What happened is on both sides, they decided to put planters on. Well, I think
So related to the planners, like the example we see here.
no, I mean the outside.
Yeah.
Right.
The
There,
businesses.
they put their own planters, you
Got
know.
it.
I thought it was both sides, you know.
Yeah, a couple of things. One, our patio license program standards restrict any planters sort of that you can't move yourself. So any businesses that have really big, heavy planters, those aren't allowed per our program standards. The other thing that we kind of learned in working with the fire department is, there isn't much that they can't just sort of drive through. In an emergency, really, they want to disrupt the least amount possible, but in an emergency, if there happened to be a large planter there, sort of not permitted, they would just sort of drive through it. But I will say, as I address later in this, we mentioned at last month's meeting that we will start doing some level of enforcement and education to downtown businesses, a lot around their patio license areas. And so one of the things that we would speak to is if we saw big giant planters out there, we as staff would go out there and do a level of education and remind those business owners that, hey, this isn't allowed per our program standards.
You mentioned that they try to drive it just to make sure that they can make a turn. But is it possible that, with the business, fire department can do a quick drill sorts of things or practice,
Yeah, I think, we're open to supporting them in whatever they feel they need to do to have that level of confidence, but it really driving through didn't seem to be the real pinch point. It seemed to be the access on and off at the intersections. And I think, the way that we've set up the patio license areas, I mean, we have a pretty wide central walkway. And I think you could see in the photo, it's sort of more than accommodated the fire truck, you know, it's not tight at all. So we have a little bit of wiggle room there as well. Yeah, so related to outdoor patio areas, since we last spoke, 3 more have been installed. So you can see the 3 there. It's really exciting. And I think that brings us up to 30 total. And I think we have another 10 in the pipeline. So more coming, more still to come. Okay, mentioned about outdoor education and enforcement. We also spoke about this, the furniture that's been stored in the lots and garages. So we're going to do some outreach to businesses and let them know that it needs to be removed by April 24th, at which time our community services department will go in and remove anything remaining. Social zone updates. So this was really exciting. Aruna and I walked Castro Street yesterday and saw all of these new elements that are back out onto Castro Street. So you can see cornhole is back. I believe foosball tables will be coming later this week. Our solo rocking horse is back on Castro Street. And then we do have these really beautiful picnic tables that have the big city logo on them. And I will say, you know, you can kind of see in the picture with the cornhole, but I mean, people are already using the picnic tables and, you know, it was quite amazing downtown, actually. There was patio license areas were some of them were just fully sat out, all the tables being used. So it's kind of an exciting time as the weather warms up. We're really starting to see some lots of activation and use. And I will say there are some additional game elements that have been ordered, and we'll see those installed as they arrive.
And are the blue and yellow cafe tables, are those this part of the city? Or are
Yes,
those, okay,
those are part of the city's furniture, and they're located at a couple different parts, primarily on the 200 and 300 block. And picnic tables were kind of added to supplement those. All right, downtown events. So just a quick update. Music on Castro actually starts tomorrow, which is really exciting. And we've got, the first band that'll be there Wednesday at 5. Music on the Plaza will start in June. Kidstock will be starting in May, so next month already. And we did have our presentation from the fire department. So a little bit more, you know, that's kind of that 150th anniversary event is coming up as well. I also did debut for you all that we have a new website completely focused on the downtown. So mountainview.com/downtown will take you to this webpage, which will have updates on ongoing short-term and long-term projects that's going on in the downtown. We also, I know I've circulated this to you all. We have just launched the Downtown Digest, which is a monthly newsletter providing updates on all things downtown. So the last issue went out mid last month, and we're currently working on the current Downtown Digest. So there's a whole bunch of updates, but really sort of the key topics that will be there, you can see on the screen. So intersection improvements, so what we shared with you today. The Community Development Department just launched a new permitting portal, so a little bit more information on that. That at the moment really is focused on permits for small businesses and single family homes, but they're hoping to expand all the things that portal can do. Just a quick update on the Castro grade separation, that should be singular. And then ICSC, so that is the International Council of Shopping Centers. Yeah. Our economic development team was at ICSC in Monterey last week. And so a little bit of recap there about our time. So these are really the key issues, but I do want to kind of really flag that the Downtown Digest is, we're hoping that topics will be informed from a number of different places, and we really want the Downtown Committee to really help to inform us what you're hearing out in the community. What is it that you're hearing from your neighbors, other community members about what questions that are coming up? You know, we're really trying to hit some of the frequently asked questions, kind of the key issues. So really looking for your help in informing what goes into that. Yeah.
So I just got stopped the other day by one of the business owners and they were asking me about like the upcoming, phase of grade separation and all that. So I was like, this is actually a great thing where I can tell them.
Yeah.
However, have you thought about giving out like flyers to each business so they're informed? Because not everybody, actually, nobody knows about the needs.
Yeah, that's a really good
Website,
idea. We could do some QR code
Yeah.
outreach and
Yeah,
just let
exactly.
people know. Yeah, that's a great update, a great recommendation.
And if people want to sign up for is the emails, the newsletters emailed to people?
Yes, we have on the website, there's a subscribe
Great.
link.
That was my
So,
question.
yeah.
Okay,
And
thanks.
I'll send that. All of you have been already added.
And I made a couple.
Yeah. But I'll make a note with the QR code, so.
And I'd like to commend you. It's a really nice digest. It's well-designed, well-read. I mean, it's easy to read. We hope it's well-read. So congratulations on.
I'll second that. I want to say that it was really well done, a lot of work. But also the old Mountain View, discussion wise, I sent you some and it's still going on back and forth in Old Mountain View. So I plan to, I'm monitoring it, what is going on and I'll make a digest of a digest and send it to you. Yeah.
Oh, we do appreciate that. I mean, the goal is to, really make sure everyone has the same information. So as much as you can help distribute it, we really appreciate that.
Jamil, you should license that out to the other neighborhood associations. Get a little fee-based work going.
Perfect. But yeah. Okay.
So can we talk about this after you finish your up?
Oh, this is the last thing on my item, so we can discuss.
Well, I don't know if this is the appropriate time or not, but most everybody knows I conduct walking tours. And even today walking, and I've noticed this before, that we don't have enough street markers like at Avila and Dana. It's only on one corner and I happen to be standing underneath the street sign and I'm looking around, okay, what street is this? If I didn't know where I was, how would I find it? So we really need to have more cross-street signage on Castro, because if you're standing underneath it, you can't see it. And so we need to do a lot better with that. And then
Like street names?
street names like
Okay.
Villa,
Exactly.
Dana. Now, California, the street is wider and there aren't as many trees there, but if you have trees in the way, you're looking around and you can't figure out what street you're in. And I've made comment on that before, that we really need to have more street signage. The other comment, and I didn't look it up, but I did have a comment from somebody who had driven downtown, looked on Google Maps and it said parking lot, 2 or 4, whatever. And then he went to the parking structure and couldn't figure out, is this same parking structure? So I don't know how we can make the parking structures be consistent with Google Maps. Maybe we need to put a sign above the entrance to the parking structure to say, this is lot number 4, number 2, or number whatever, so that we have better wayfinding. So it's more consistent with what they're looking at on their phone, and then they're trying to figure out, well, and then especially when there aren't any street signs, help them for wayfinding.
Like putting it like, being on the floor, like onto the street.
Yeah, yeah,
Or a lot, whatever.
right, yeah, a lot of
As you
cities.
walk, as you're driving in.
Yeah, well, and even when you're walking, if you just had the curb mark California on all 4 corners so that you could look across the street. I know it's not as permanent as having a street sign above, but that would be one way that you can just, or a lot of cities, you look down and there's a little stamp in the
Yeah.
sidewalk curb so that you know what street.
Yeah, I can definitely share that with our traffic team and that feedback to them. And in terms of the structures and making sure they're consistent with Google, we can definitely go onto Google and then change Google so that they're consistent with what is out there right now. So yeah, thank you for that. I'll take a look at that. And I don't know if you have anything to share about parking wayfinding. I know it's something we hope to do, but I don't think it's quite yet in our budget or horizon, or on the horizon for us.
It was actually one of the recommendations in the strategy, and it's one of the action items to implement. So there is a framework to do that. We just haven't. But, it is identified.
I will tell them help is on the way.
So I have noticed that all the time, that parking lot by Evelyn and I mean, filled up first and then this one, a lot of people don't know, there's sign up there saying that we have another parking lot. But if we could put this on different, all the floors, you know, so they can see it. Notice that. Now, I was wondering about the magazine or the digest. Is that I've seen in newspapers, something around town. If we could have something like we can hear the voices, what people are saying about that thing. included.
You want us to listen in on what people are saying?
Something, you know, like, or maybe-
Surveillance.
Newspaper goes there and asks, what do you think about, what we're doing or something? And real thing, you know.
Yeah, we could do some surveying, you know.
Like a citizen camera.
Okay, so, any more questions? Any public comments?
Anyone online wishing to make a public comment on this item, please raise your hand or *6. Seen any public comments?
So, public comment, can I ask you burning questions after that? Like just about, is a soft copy only, no hard copy?
Of the digest.
Of the digest. Well, yes, it's available electronically and we've formatted it as a PDF so it could be printed out, but the city is.
No, I was wondering about that, I mean, because you guys did such a fantastic job. Maybe with a hard copy, we could get an autographic collection item, you know? Yeah, they keep it, you know, down to.
Sure, we can discuss getting you a special autographed copy.
Thank you, thank you.
Well, to Jamil's point, though, this is sort of me speaking from the historical aspect. If we don't have hard copies of things, 20 years from now, is somebody going to be able to access something on a PDF or? So I would suggest that maybe at least for historical purposes, that you print a couple of copies out and put them in a file folder, and so that if somebody wants to look at it 10 years from now, they're not trying to figure out, okay, how do I get that?
And I will say, I mean, we are keeping an archive online, and we can certainly print them out. One of the challenges with hard copies is after John and I have left the city and someone finds a box of these and goes, why are we keeping these?
Let's throw them out.
Right, so we,
Instead of taking over the library and having them. stored
Right,
in
but-
the History Center.
but certainly we are trying to keep, electronic copies and keeping an archive, but we can certainly, print out a couple and make them available here at City Hall and if.
There are document retention
Yeah, we do have to-
policies
yeah.
and stuff, so.
Yeah, I'm just thinking more for easy access for people.
It also might
It'd be nice if you would make copies of them, send them over to the library and have them.
I was gonna suggest the library, the Chamber of Commerce, even right here in the rotunda, to have some file layout. It's like where we distribute the community guide and the business directory, we print 5,000 copies of them, they all go. So, people like having something physical.
Of course, we could also, anybody could print their own.
True.
I mean.
But it looks nicer if it's done on real stock and. Permanently done.
And that,
It's
and
another expense.
yeah, we'll have to find
I'm
budget.
not
for
talking
that.
about a whole bunch, just a few archives.
Okay, well, thank you. We've noted that and we can definitely look into it. I'll also look at QR code, flyers with QR codes that we can distribute out to the businesses downtown. And then noted a couple of the topics that you mentioned, cross street markers, and then ensuring that parking lot naming conventions match both the physical ones in person and also on Google.
Great, so no public comments. Great, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Great job. Good stuff. Next item is 7.1 or new business 7.1 downtown event. Community service.
Chris, our community services department, staff member who's going to be leading this presentation is dropping off her children and should be here at 8:45. So if we could
Yeah, sure.
jump to 7.2, that might just give us a little bit of a buffer.
7.2, we're moving to city annual update. Staff will provide a recap and overview of the city manager presentation at the city annual update.
I will be taking the lead on that. This is a verbal update. Myself, along with a couple others in this room, attended the city annual. This is an event that's actually produced by the chamber on behalf of the city. I will look to those that were here to also supplement my comments. Both Mayor Showalter, as well as City Manager McCarthy, provided an overview of what's going on in the city, and I'll touch on a couple of the highlights. I will also share, we do anticipate having the video of that meeting posted on the YouTube channel. We're anticipating next week. So for those of you that wish to watch it, it should be available next week on the YouTube channel.
How would you find that?
You can navigate to it a couple different ways. Within YouTube, you can look for the City of Mountain View channel, and it'll be there. You can also online, generally at the bottom of the city's webpage, has links to the different channels, and you'll find the YouTube symbol there. And click it.
So also have a link on our website as well.
Thank you for. So Mayor Showalter started off the presentation really kind of focused on sustainability efforts, which is something that the mayor is very passionate about. Discussed and talked about kind of the work that's going on out at Shoreline, one from a sea level rise perspective, but also retaining habitat. So talking about all the activity that is happening out at Shoreline, and also discuss the 40th anniversary of the Shoreline Shoreline Park area. In addition, talked about the launch of the library shuttle program. So the smaller bookmobile that was launched late last year. This bookmobile is a little bit smaller and allows it to get into other locations within Mountain View versus having a much bigger vehicle or bus. So really excited about that launch. The city manager touched upon, the city being one of the first cities in Santa Clara County to have its housing plan, housing element adopted, which is a very big milestone. One of the big areas that the city manager talked about was downtown. And very much what you hear on a regular basis at this meeting touched on the different aspects of what's happening. So not only the programming that the city's been doing to enliven the downtown, touched upon the grant programs. So we do have the outdoor equipment grant program. We have currently 28 grants in process right now of $5,000 to businesses to support the replacement of outdoor furniture. That grant is actually available citywide. We have found most of the downtown businesses have taken advantage of it. We are on the verge of launching the facade improvement grant program, along with the window display program. The window display program is intended to improve the aesthetics of how people are using their storefront windows. You see a variety of approaches. Some just have their windows, you can see into their business. Others have menus plastered all over the windows that don't allow you any insight into the business. So coming up with a more active window to market your business and showing there are other ways to draw people into your business. So those are two programs that we're looking at launching here very soon. And then all the effort that's going into downtown, as Amanda highlighted in the prior item. Lots of activations occurring in downtown in terms of just activating the streets, the flowers, but also supporting different grant programs. And then touching upon the Castro Grade Separation Project and kind of what's happening with that, along with the Bringstorff project. This committee also received that update. And then really kind of concluding with kind of where we are budgetarily and kind of moving into this different cycle. Revenues are slightly trending down. So while the economy is generally moving along fairly well, The turnover in houses is slowing, so that has a property tax implication to the city. So talked about the budget at a very high level. What's going on. So I will look to my fellow colleagues that were here. Is there anything you would like to supplement what I said and think the downtown committee would find value in hearing?
There, Mike?
Were you asking staff or?
I'm asking.
Yes.
At this point, I actually don't remember the details that Kimbra went into, but it was a really comprehensive review of what's going on in the city, what's planned.
There was
It was a
talk about-
good state of the city address.
I mean, not specific to downtown, but there were also discussions about the different corridors and building those out as well. It's important.
What I remember, which what I was really impressed right at the end, last sentence, manager was saying that the whole thing was the state of the city and the Mountain View of tomorrow. And when she introduced the AI, that we're looking at the AI, how the process would be and how little we know. And we're open to ideas, like not we know all. So it was very impressive, so that stuck with me.
That's a very good comment. I mean, AI is certainly a very interesting space. It's an interesting space on the private side. But what does it also mean on the public side? And how can AI be used within local government? And at this point in time, local government is trying to figure out what does it mean organizationally, the different tools. So I appreciate you daylighting that, Chair. No specific answer. It's
Yeah.
one of the things the city's looking into and understanding how it organization, as many cities are trying to grapple. What does AI mean internally to the organization? And are there operational efficiencies that can result from using?
More questions? No, any public comments?
Well, I'd just like to add that, we also were mentioning a number of the things that the chamber and the city are joining together to do. And mentioned a few upcoming events like the tech showcase and so on. And also that we're working very closely with the DBA, of course, in terms of activating the street and with a number of the activities there. So all those were mentioned as well.
Anyone online wishing to make a public, please raise your hand or hit *6. No raised hands.
Right. Thank you very much. That's a great summary. So now we can move on to back to item 7.1. Downtown events.
Hello, how are you?
You can be one of two people.
Oh, I can pick my alternate personality today. Wonderful. Hi, everyone. I'm Christine Crosby. I'm the Assistant Community Services Director for City of Mountain View. Thank you for having me. Apologies for being late. Had to do kid drop off this morning, and then people were just driving very slow on their way here. Here with me today is Michelle Peterson, Recreation Supervisor, who has a lot of history and direct responsibility of a lot of our downtown events, as well as our plaza use program. So today I'm here to share some information about our downtown events. I feel like this is almost a yearly presentation, but I myself haven't provided the last few years, so excited to be back today. But just wanted to paint the picture a little bit for you of what the Community Services Department does in relation to special events. We've got 73 event days that are special events available to anyone in the city. Out of the 73, 54 of those dates take place in the downtown. So that's 74% of our event dates take place downtown. And this is in addition to our age-specific program events, such as programs at the Teen Center, programs at the Senior Center. And so there's actually a lot more events, but these are the ones that are specific to the general population. In addition to that, our events are conducted by our Recreation Division staff. Surprisingly, we don't have a special events team that is only responsible for special events. Our staff are assigned to different program areas and support special events. So they may do seniors as their day-to-day responsibility, but then they may be planning tree lighting or kid stock on the side, or they are responsible for after-school programs and they're doing Monster Bash and what have you. So it's very surprising. A lot of staff are surprised when they find out that we don't have a dedicated special events team. I'm like, yes, they're all pretty amazing to be able to do what they do. So today, I'm going to share general information about the Civic Center Plaza events that take place right out the front door here, as well as some events that have taken place in the pedestrian mall, and then the plaza use permit process. I feel there's some interest in expanding special events. So first, the most recent event that we had on the plaza was tree lighting. This year, oh my goodness, how many was at the event? It was insane. It's fun when we always get the after event reporter asking us, how many people did you think were there? And we're like, oh God, I don't know. Is it 4,000? Is it 6,000? So we landed around 4, but probably a little bit more if you're counting like me. But if you've seen the tree lighting event over the last few years, we've really tried to move things around to find the right recipe. We've had the stage on the plaza. We had the stage in the middle of the street here, but facing the city hall. And then last year we switched and put the stage on Mercy facing, what is that? Oh, thank you. And we got some really great compliments on the layout this last year. There was a gentleman in one of the performance groups that performs every year, and he came up to us afterwards and was like, this was the best tree lighting I've ever participated in. So we're really excited about that. We felt that the pandemic gave us an opportunity to kind of flip some things upside down. And with all of our events in general having increased popularity, we've started closing down the street so that we can expand our event. And then utilizing the plaza differently with putting refreshments up there, putting the library story time with Mrs. Claus and other elements. So it was a great success this past year. In addition, at tree lighting, you might have noticed we had a very nice large tree out on the plaza. It is 24 feet tall and it will be growing next year. So don't know how that's gonna happen. I mean, I do know how it's gonna happen, but I mean, it's magic, right? So the tree, it was a new purchase for the city. It was with one-time funds. We have a beautiful Coast live oak on the corner that replaced a large tree that was there previously. However, it just really hasn't grown to the grandeur. Yeah, it's a little dinky. And so we were able to obtain some one-time funds to have the larger tree, not only on the plaza, but also replace our tree here in the rotunda. And we've gotten a lot of compliments from that. We've seen a lot of people pass the tree lighting event, go and take pictures with their family. So it was a nice element to add. In addition, we've expanded the number of lights that we had out on the Civic Center Plaza, as well as along Castro Street, with also increasing just the volume of holiday photo stops and little decor that we have. And we have hopes and plans to do that again this coming cycle. We just have to see how the budget process works out. So that was tree lighting. We were supposed to have Multicultural Festival on March 23rd. Unfortunately, we all dealt with rain. Oh my God. And I will just say canceling an event is one of the hardest decisions for us because we're like, did we make the right decision? What if it doesn't rain? What if we're fine? And so when it rained at 10 and 11, I was like, yes, okay, right decision. So we're in the process of looking at dates to reschedule the Multicultural Festival. It possibly could be at the end of this month. We're trying to nail that down because we're starting to enter the busy season. So yes.
How much advance notice do you feel like you need to give organizations to be able to participate in multicultural?
So we're gonna be reaching out to the groups that were previously scheduled to participate and hoping that they can make our new date. And if not, we'll open it up to others to join if they missed the cutoff of the last time. In a perfect world, we would like 3 to 4 weeks, but it's not quite perfect always. So we might be looking at like a 3 weeks notice, which is plenty of time to market the event. We just need to get the word out. Yes.
Layout will be the same, though.
Yes. Yeah. We've done all the planning. Everything's ready to go. We just got to make sure all the proper players can be there on the date. And so we're pretty close on that. But what the plan initially was for 15 different cultural performances. We, I think, had 14 or 15 cultural booths and arts and crafts. And the last time we hosted this event in 2022. That's all right, you're ready for event. We had about 2,000 to 3,000 people during the afternoon for that event. And since then, again, all of our attendance for events has grown, so we're expecting a very large number. So looking forward to that. That'll be the next one coming up, hopefully later this month. And then we go into Kidstock. So Kidstock is our kids music series. It happens the third Saturday from 10 to 12, May, June, and July. Lots of strollers on the plaza. I'm gonna give you that heads up right now with the visual. But we have a kid performer, like an Andy Z group. I actually don't know the lineup off the top of my head for this year. That's very popular with your TK and preschool age group. And we bring them down right before lunchtime in hopes that they come to downtown and get some lunch afterwards or enjoy the park. And we have arts and crafts. We usually have some sort of secondary performer like face painting, balloon art, caricatures. That's also very popular. All that we provide to the attendees for free. There's no extra fees to get your face painted or have a caricature drawn. So very popular event. We get a couple hundred people that come out for Kidstock. And then the really big one that takes place on the plaza for a very long period of time is concerts on the plaza. So 18 Fridays in a row from 6 to 7:30, June through September, we have live music out on the plaza. This event, if you've been watching the history of how concerts on the plaza has grown, has really morphed into a really great event. It was great before, but it's much bigger. With going consecutively for 18 weeks, with increasing our budget to attract different bands that provide live energy or high energy for dancing, we've really increased the number of people on the plaza to the point where I question, do we need to expand our footprint? It's that many people. People are crowded around the plaza. They're finding every little nook and cranny to sit or get up and dance, which is really great. So we have a really great lineup. The event starts on June 7th with the Cheese Balls, a high energy dance band. But it's really like eclectic group. We've got pop, we've got rock, we've got reggae, we've got acapella, we've got 60s dance surf hits. So really, really excited for the lineup this year. Michelle does a really great job at curating the schedule. It's very popular. We have a lot of bands reach out to us every year wanting to perform. So we take their information and see if we can squeeze them in here or in other events that we have.
So, Christine,
Yeah.
I mean, that one has a little postal list of the dates and all that. If you could set a committee,
Yeah.
we could pass it to,
Yeah, definitely. I believe the information is on the city's website.
It's on the website.
we can forward the file,
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, we'll make sure to get that to you.
Also, it is,
We also used to have posters too that.
Mhm.
Windows.
Yeah.
it's really attended by a lot of people from out of town, also from different cities.
Yeah, and what's really great is they will either, purchase their beer and wine at Bean
Yeah.
Scene, take it out onto Plaza, they bring their own food, or what I've seen is people are coming with their to-go food from the downtown area and enjoying their dinner on the plaza while they're listening to music. So, or we see them transverse to downtown to go get their food for after the event. So those are the main Civic Center Plaza events that Community Services is responsible for. I'm gonna shift now to the pedestrian mall. So we are very familiar with that area. Last year, we launched a new event called Music on Castro. We started it last year in May and it went through September. This year, it starts this week, so April 3rd, all the way through the end of October. So through October 30th, that's 30 weeks of music. Consecutive weeks of music downtown from 5 to 6:45. We do have it stationed in the 200 block, but what the beauty of this program is, if there's expansion and we don't have the space where we're originally set up, we can move to somewhere else within the pedestrian mall, so long as we have access to power. So that event is more singer, songwriters, duos, small music groups to provide ambiance to the downtown as people are walking around, heading to dinner, coming back to the train. And we've seen a lot of people just come by and stop and listen. We get some really great comments and then they've moved along. So we're really looking forward to this year having 30 weeks in a row and looking for opportunities of how we can continue to connect people to the downtown through music.
So the musicians, city goes out and find them, or there's a way to apply for the musicians?
So it's a little bit of both. Over the years, we have a lot of musicians that contact us directly saying that they're available to play. And so we did create an email address for musicians to send us their information. And then we alternatively seek out musicians. So when we're out and about enjoying our own recreation and leisure and we see a performance somewhere else, we'll be like, oh, what's that band? They're pretty good. I want to have them play. But I think for this year, are we fully booked for Music on Castro?
I have 7 dates left in September and October.
Yeah, so we're kind of holding on those, waiting on some additional information related to the street treatment. But yeah, we're almost full.
Could you send the email address so I can pass it to some people ask?
Yeah,
Summerconcert@mountainview.gov.
but we'll pass it along as well.
And those are always on Wednesdays?
Yes.
And Jamil, just so you know, we also at the chamber, we get all sorts of requests too for, you know, the different festivals we do when we share the lists.
Mhm.
So.
Yeah.
Do you do any, I don't want to say competition per se, but survey people and who's the best band of the year sort of thing, and so there's a
We
little
have not.
engagement?
We haven't done that, but we can look into that. On a fun side note, we did a competition with our own staff on who announces the best announcement at concerts on the plaza. So that was really fun. They got a little trophy at the end. But we'll review something of that nature. Yeah. Last year, we had National Night Out on, I think it's first Tuesday of August. That was held in the 300 block of Castro. If you were down there that night, it was very difficult to walk through. That event really has grown to the point where we'll have to discuss what the location is this coming year. And if with the new partitions, does it make sense to still have it downtown, or do we need to look at moving it back to the parks where National Night Out used to be? But it was very popular, and a lot of people came out to the point, again, I was walking through the crowd like this. So we'll see about that one. That one this year will be on August 6th. We usually start engaging with our partners in the police department and fire department in late spring. So we don't have the plans yet for that event. In addition, we are internally exploring potential programming to add to the pedestrian mall. I have some information that I can't share publicly yet, as I'm just waiting for staff to solidify some details. But as soon as we have some additional information about programs that we're bringing to downtown, we'll make sure to share that with Amanda and John to get it to you. And all my notes here. So that was what we have so far for the pedestrian mall. And just to put it out there, as the partitions and the patio licenses increase, we are looking to see what space is left within the pedestrian mall that is not activated so that we can go back and see what we can do to activate that space. It's kind of a fluid situation at this moment with the patio licenses rolling out. And so it may not look like we're doing a lot of events yet, but we just have to kind of see where the holes are so then we can program to it. And then there's one other piece I wanted to share related to Civic Center Plaza and how to reserve the plaza. So you may or may not be aware, but we don't do all of the events within the city on the plaza. There are other organizations within the community that provide different events that are available to the public. So some examples of those events, there's Yoga on the Plaza, there's International Yoga Day. Working with the chamber, there's the Taste of Mountain View events, there's the Tech Showcase. In the past, we had the AAPI Cultural Festival, and then we often have free speech events that take place throughout the year, depending on what's going on.
Are those counted as part of the 54 that you mentioned? Or
No.
are those additional?
Those are all outside of that. Yeah, the 54 are purely the events that the Recreation Division is responsible for. To reserve the plaza is extremely low cost. For a nonprofit community group, it's $50 for the whole day. For a commercial use that's for a business located in, or they're doing something to benefit Mountain View, it's $270 for the day. Just for the day. This is cheaper than all of our hourly rental rates for indoor facilities. And then, of course, for the free speech, those are $0. But in order to apply to utilize the plaza to offer an event, we do request 60 days advance notice. That's working directly with Michelle on that, so that we can share what's available and what's not available. We have often a lot of groups that reach out thinking that we provide everything for their use of the plaza. We don't. But we can give you resources of groups to contact to rent stuff, but we do provide access to power if that's part of the request for the use. And so we're always open for groups to reach out to us. We do have to coordinate to make sure there's no conflicts with the Center for the Performing Arts, as well as any infrastructure or maintenance projects that may be taking place. But that is just another resource available. And then lastly, just a little highlight, something that's not totally related to downtown, but we are working on a Parks and Recreation strategic plan. This is to map out the next 10 to 15 years for our parks, facilities, recreation programs, events, and more. So part of this strategic plan process, there will be a review of our special events. Is there something that we're missing? Is there something that we should be doing that we're not doing? Is there something we're doing that we should stop doing? But it also will be looking at our staffing model. As I mentioned at the very beginning, we don't have a team that's dedicated to special events, so that's something that can come out of this. But also looking at all of our policies and coming up with recommendations on how to continue to better serve our community through the work that we do. So one thing that's coming up related to the Parks and Recreation Strategic Plan, you're gonna be the first ones to hear this. Next week is when the community survey is gonna be launched. So plan to see lots of promotions related to that on Monday and potentially some emails personally from me. But once that survey is out, it's a great opportunity for us to see if the needs of our community are truly being met, or what are the unmet needs that we need to look at as far as parks and facility amenities, and as well as our programming that we have. So it's gonna be a pretty comprehensive survey. It takes about 10 to 15 minutes. Some people may have actually received the mail copy of it. That was the statistically reliable version of their survey that was mailed out. I just checked with the consultant yesterday. We've received 405 responses back, and our minimum that we needed to receive was 450. So I'm very, very excited to hear that. I was a little nervous. You just never know how many people take the survey that gets mailed to them. So that same survey is being duplicated in the online format. Yes, Wilma.
So how is this different than the survey that's online right now? That's the survey now is.
That's the
Parks.
statistically reliable one. So you probably saw a sponsored ad sending you to that website. When you entered your address, they will be checking to see if you are part of the resident pool that they sent stuff to. If your address matches, then your survey counts. If you did not receive a mailer with the survey, then you need to take the online survey.
So I think I saw something on Facebook and I went to a live
Mhm.
and filled out, but it seemed like it was more, I can't remember if it was more part of it or whether it was community service.
It's,
I did it last night, I know.
oh, okay,
And
okay.
it did take
If-
about 10 to 15.
Yeah, and if you did not receive a mailer of
No, I
the
didn't.
survey, you're gonna need to take it again.
So
Yeah,
all the work I did last night
I
won't
know.
count?
that, you're just gonna be even better your second time around.
The second time around.
Yeah.
So it would get count twice.
Yeah.
But early enough.
Is this also the survey that really sort of goes into how people feel about the community and stuff like, sort of like the pre-ballot measure survey that we typically do?
It has, I think, some questions that you would probably see on like a pre-ballot survey. But yeah, there are questions related to, do you participate in these programs? Are your needs being met? Yes or no? If you've gone to these parks, or these amenities, do they matter to you? Like, is restrooms important to you? That kind of a thing. But there are also questions about what do you feel the benefit is for our programs and our services? There are questions related to funding of how do you feel as a community member, the city should fund parks, open space and recreation. So it's about 25 questions with demographics thrown in there. So that will be launched on Monday. And yes, there was definitely confusion. I was not thrilled when I saw a sponsored ad and I was like, what are you doing? But they're trying to remind people that received the mailer to take the survey. But you got first round, you could try it again and have even more refined answers. So again, that's coming out on Monday. It'll be available through the end of April. And then we'll have a series of public meetings again later this spring for the consultant Next Practice Partners to come back out and share with the community their findings from the community input process that started back in August, as well as findings related to their assessments of our park facilities, as well as our recreation programs. So just another opportunity to have events potentially highlighted through that process, and where we may as a department go for the next 10 to 15 years related to that. Yes.
Is the city contemplating anything around the 125th anniversary?
I have not heard yet. I guarantee we'll be involved with it, but haven't heard anything related to it yet.
This isn't related specifically to downtown, other than it's across from downtown. The Adobe House has significant damage. Can you give us an update on
The flooring?
the flooring?
Yes, yeah. So last year after those storms, we walked into the building with a nice tripping hazard. The floor raised to a nice little pyramid right in front of the fireplace. And so last year we worked with our facilities team to remove the boards in that particular area and redo it. I will say that the vendor that we utilized for that patchwork did not do a great job. And we're like, all right, we'll deal with it later. There is an exterior problem that we are working on right now. We have a capital improvement project to replace the exterior tile around the facility. And through that project, we're going to be also fixing the sewer line underneath and figuring out where the water is coming into the facility. So first we need to attack the exterior. Once the exterior is finished, then we can look at doing a full replacement of the interior flooring. So for right now, just because we don't want to keep throwing money into something and it keep buckling back up, because it did buckle up again recently, our facilities division has sanded down the areas that were creating a tripping hazard, and we're going to be covering it with a brown carpet until further notice. So we need to get the exterior stuff fixed so that we don't have to keep spending money over and over again trying to fix the interior.
But it's not open. I was told it wouldn't be open until the end of the year.
We, I believe, just started like literally last week. That's when the work was completed, reopening tours of the facility.
Well, it was rented last week. I passed by and they were renting it for wedding.
So I want to be careful that we don't discuss something not on agenda.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
So
Something we're working on.
I'm so glad that we waited to hear from you, it's fantastic, But I think the community services department is the most fun department in the city.
absolutely, I agree.
I don't know, finance is
No
pretty
offense.
fun.
Yeah, it really is.
No question.
But thank you for having me here today, here to answer any additional questions you may have.
Maybe if nobody has it, anybody in public, comment?
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you very much.
No
for
problem.
giving
Thank you so much.
And,
You're not.
No, but I want to make one.
Oh, one announcement. Okay, well, we
announcement coming in.
have committee staff comments coming up. Are you going to move into that portion?
Yeah,
Right.
number 8, yeah.
Oh, wow. Right in time.
Number 8, staff comments and questions.
It was so hard when he said, what about planning department? Which one as well?
Yes, you are, yes. Now you are, yeah.
Yeah, they left you.
Diana Pacioli, Principal Planner. I just wanted to, sorry, I could not make it to the item number 6, but it was discussed. I just wanted to inform everybody, downtown precise plan update and Moffett precise plan update. We do have consultant selection and the scope of work. The, council will approve the agreement with the consultant. It's a consent item coming up on April 23rd. It's tentatively scheduled. Now we are in April, so I think I'm more confident it will be good. And I can go into more details at this point, because it has not been published. But yeah, we are looking at 2 separate consultants for Moffett and downtown. And we are very excited. It will be the fun.
Does the Moffett have to do anything with the Berkeley County?
Say that again? No,
No.
The Moffett precise
the
plan.
precise plan.
Moffett Boulevard precise plan.
Oh, okay.
It would be interesting to, I really want to discuss it, but I mean, see the Moffett size plan, because we talked about it years ago. There was rendering of all the buildings and all kinds of stuff, whole corridor.
Doing general plan?
Yeah, or, yeah.
It is general plan. It is a general plan change area, and that's the last piece we're trying to create a precise plan. Yep. So yeah, it's gonna be a consent item. That was it. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, another thing for item 8.
Sure.
Now would be a good time to request that maybe the city attorney come in and really explain the whole thing about the residency requirement. I mean, since 125 years, it's like a downtown committee. So I don't know. I'm really curious.
So it's basically you have to live in downtown or?
No, you have to be a resident of Belton.
Oh, no, okay.
And so the 2 members who are not here today, and I don't know if this is discussing something,
Neither of these guys live in Mountain View.
but they're with the chamber.
Well, but the point of this is you have to live here regardless of whether you're the business person, which was always the exception to the rule.
It doesn't match the bylaws, and that's the piece that we have to do a little more investigating about, but we can certainly discuss what format and who would be best to come have that discussion with us. John, no, I have it on my list.
Good.
You call one of the members left because he moved from something. I forgot.
So under 8 point, I will be conducting a walking tour the 4th Sunday, which is 20, whatever that is. Walking tour. We've already got 14 of the 15 spaces filled, so will that be by the time somebody looks at it again? So in any case, but they're fun, and they start at 2 o'clock at the train station.
It'll be 28th.
Pardon?
That will be the 28th.
28th, right, thank you.
Great. So anything else? Anybody has anything else?
No.
So thank you very much, everybody, especially thank you staff for their hard work. And this great rest of the day, and this meeting is adjourned at 16.
Oh, and I will not be here next month, so